The 2000s saw a rise in chrome and wheel spinning, otherwise known as spinners. From your friend's uncle showing up to the function with spinning wheels, to video games like Midnight Club 3 and Need for Speed Underground, spinners were a big part of culture, and just about everyone knew somebody with the set. From artists like Mike Jones back then, to just a random local in your town, the craze of spinning wheels had taken over the world. If you came from the 2000s like I did, you will remember. It was in every bit of media like movies, music, games, magazines, and even fashion. Do you remember the spinning belt buckle? Spinners had become the next trend to set a way for future automotive mods. And you could say it inspired communities like Camber Gang and even floaters. But as the 2010s would come around the corner and the 2008 recession would alter every bit of how people spent money, spinners would fade from pop culture. What caused the trend of spinning chrome to disappear? And did spinners actually become illegal? Spinners were everywhere in the 2000s. Some people thought they were tacky and it was just too much chrome. Others thought they were the coolest mod to do to your vehicle. Multiple celebrities would either have dubs or spinners on their rides during this time, and shows like MTV Cribs, which showcased how these celebrities lived, would push this trend of oversized blades to becoming a pop culture icon. Spinners have always been around in some form in the automotive industry, similar to lowriders. But the spinners that people who lived through the 2000s era think of today were a product from the late 80s and mid 90s. Now, I bring up the 2000s era because when talking about spinners, some people think about the spinner caps on wire wheels like Dayton's or fidget spinners. But the spinners that come to my mind were the flashy centerpieces on wheels that would spin if the vehicle wasn't in motion. If you were like me and you saw this at a red light in the 2000s, it blew your mind and you just had to have some. Spinners had been popularized with custom built cars in the 90s. Typically, they would be used for displays at auto shows to just make the cars stand out. But the true creator behind this trend-setting phenomenon was James Gragg. His vision of reshaping the automotive industry would change every bit of how cars were used in media. Similar to what you find with lowriders in films like Boys in the Hood, the next wave to change the landscape was spinners. A centerpiece that had bearings in the middle that would rotate after the vehicle had been in motion. But as quick as spinners became the next setting and trend, they would also fade from the 2010s. The popularization of using spinners and dub wheels in media around the 2010s would be a new wave for the automotive industry that had not really been seen before. We had lowriders in pop culture and movies like The Fast and the Furious or video games like Need for Speed to shed some light on what was trending in the automotive atmosphere. But spinners had shaken the industry so much that it would also be the motivational force for music, movies, and fashion. With 3 6 Mafia's hit song Ridin' Spinners, the South in the US saw a shift of throwing on big wheels with flashy centerpieces that would spin. One would think that in the 2000s, spinners would be the future, and in a sense, they had become just that. But after the 2010s, you started to see a shift in the industry. Spinners were becoming less popular. This was due to the reliability of spinners, as over time, the bearings would wear and you typically had one wheel that wouldn't spin at all. You also had things like the 2008 recession where people had less money to motivate this trend shift. But the biggest issue with spinners was the legality, because a spinning wheel was seen as a distraction to drivers. While there is mentions of states prohibiting these head-turning spinning wheels, there's also confusion between spinner caps with wire wheels in the legal system. Spinner caps on wire wheels also saw this same legal recourse. Realistically, the fade with spinners was due to the industry shift. It was becoming more popular with automakers to already have bigger wheels in cars and less chrome after the 2010s, and with the lack of reliability and the repair cost of spinners would push consumers away. Spinners' influence had changed the landscape of the automotive industry. While they can still be somewhat purchased today and are still seen here in the South from time to time, they also pushed new industries like Stance Nation, floaters, donk, and camber game. Spinners were not only just a decorative piece for your car, as they could be seen in video games like Midnight Club 3, TV shows like Pimp My Ride, and multiple celebrities of the 2000s would have them on their rides. Spinners not only influenced the industry, but they also influenced everyday people, as you either knew someone who had spinners on their ride, or you would hear your coworkers and relatives talking about the car that they saw at a red light with spinning wheels. Spinners had become everyday culture in the 2000s. While spin and chrome has become a thing of the past, they still remain a big shift in what we have today. And you could say that spinners ran so other industries could walk. While some find them tacky, I still find them to be what defined the 2000s. I would really like them to be more present in today's pop culture. It would be so cool to see spinners back in films and celebrities standing behind this trend again. But as spinners have faded, so will the end of this video.